I love including some paper bundles into the pot when I am eco-printing fabric. They make marvellous gift tags and cards to include with handmade textiles. But of course, if you're a mixed media artist, you could use them for any other purpose too. This step-by-step video will take you through the process from start to finish. The first thing you need to do is get some paper. I'm tearing strips here of wallpaper lining paper, but you can use any watercolor paper or craft paper and experiment. Next, I fold the paper back and forwards. I'm using the metal plate on my table as a guide. I want to make sure that the paper is a little bit smaller than what I am going to be clamping it with. I'll be having a metal plate on either side of my paper bundle. However, you can also roll them if you prefer. Some strips I leave folded and others I tear the folded pieces into separate cards. As well as paper, you're going to need some vegetation. I have a sprig of cotinus, both the leaves and the flowers print. I have leaves from some herbaceous geraniums, and I also have this wild geranium, and the seed pods look really beautiful from that geranium. Then some rose leaves and some Acer pseudoplatanus, which is the sycamore, as we say in Ireland. And I have some seed pods. I need to be careful, they're quite thick. I need to make sure they don't prevent good contact with the rest of the vegetation in a bundle. So once I have my vegetation gathered, I only need a couple of other things and I'm ready to go. The simplest way of preparing your paper is to pass it through a basin with vinegar and water. Any strength solution will help, although I like to do approximately 50-50. And this was a white wine vinegar, but I just use whatever is cheapest in the shop at the time I am trying to get it. Strangely enough, here in rural Ireland, it's not so easy to get inexpensive vinegar. So this was a white wine vinegar. I have some string to tie my bundles, but I can also use clamps or binder clips or even strong rubber bands. I have a few metal plates here, and I'm going to be clamping my paper between two of these, and I've decided to add this one somewhere in the middle of the bundle just to give some interest with this detail on it. Now you can use anything. This particular plate was part of an old coffee machine that I had. These came from a recycle yard in Canberra in Australia when I was on holidays and teaching over there. But you can use ceramic floor or wall tiles. You can use stiff cardboard. You can use anything you like, so long as it just holds the bundles together sufficiently for the printing process. And I need scissors for my string. So I'm just going to pass this paper through my vinegar water solution. And as you can see, I've bent this, so this will give me an idea of where I want to position my vegetation, because I'm printing this in one long strip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my first metal plate down, and I'm going to just put some vegetation on the plate. You really don't have to be too precise with this. It's one of the few times I'm not as careful with my layout. and I can see that the fold line is there. I also am happy to have some of the leaves coming off the edge of the piece. And take your time and enjoy the laying out process. Don't worry if things look a little bit dirty from bits of rust on your table. None of that is an issue. Actually, I think, no, I will put that there. I'm going to use some of these beautiful wild geraniums. I love their seed heads. In Ireland, we call this Herb Robert. And I'm going to just place that there. And I could choose to put some vegetation here or not. So I think I'll just, let's see, I'll put this here. You can pinch the stem off vegetation or you can leave it on. I think I'll take it off here. After you've gone back and forwards, laying out vegetation between the layers of paper, it's time to put the second metal tile onto the top of the piece and either clamp it or tie it. Don't forget, you can use ceramic tiles if you prefer. This bundle is ready to tie, and you can see from these particular metal plates that there's going to be some interesting colour coming through because the pot liquid is going to penetrate here more. But if you don't have metal plates or you don't want the reaction with the iron, you could use ceramic tiles or you could use stiff cardboard instead. I just love these metal plates. And in case you're wondering, I got these from a sort of salvage type yard in Canberra, cooperative run by the council, where they had all sorts of, it was like a ginormous thrift store, and they had all sorts of building supplies and they cost very, very little money. So I bought a whole selection of these. Anyway, whatever kind of a plate or a ceramic tile or a piece of cardboard you are going to use to clamp, I recommend that you tie your knots at the edge of it, not try and do them on the top, because that's really, really difficult to get firm enough. So at the beginning, it's what's called a surgeon's knot. So you put the loose bit of string under once and under a second time and just give it a pull. And that just will help hold your, should, if it works correctly, help hold the bundle together while you are then tying it. So the important thing is to get it nice and firm if you can, but don't stress about it as much as if it was fabric. I'm hoping that a little bit of the pot liquid, to which I will add some vegetation, I'm hoping that a little bit of the colour will seep in at the edges. So it's not quite as important as fabric to have it really tight. And when you come to your initial knot, make sure you don't go over that loose end of string because you need that in a minute. So just put that under your hand, go to the end of the piece, and then back to where you started. And when you get back to where you started, you then use that loose end to tie a proper knot here at the edge of the bundle. And this is a knot that you don't want to open. So that's my first piece bundled. And now I just want to take about a shoulder's length of string. But since I see there's a knot here, I'll just open the knot. So normally I would cut this string shoulder length away from here, and then I can use this longer tag of string to tie the bundle to the edge of the pot when I put it in, and it'll be easy to find it afterwards. So that's just a tip for you. Keep your string not too long, tie the end to the handle of your pot, and then it's easier to lift them out afterwards. Paper ready for the printing pot. Unfortunately, it's too windy to process the bundles outside safely today. So I've brought an old pot in and I've put it on the gas cooker. I need to be careful when I lift the lid off that I don't get a steam burn. And in the pot, I have some dirty pot liquid, which I decanted from another pot. If you're new to eco printing, just use water, about 500 milliliters of vinegar, and throw in some onion skins. So I just very, very carefully drop the first bundle in, and I'm going to tie that to the pot handle. And I will be making a note of the time this went in and what's in that bundle in just a minute. I'm going to drop another bundle in. I'm going to put the lid back on. And it's important to bring this water up to a boil as soon as possible. And I'm just going to tie these as soon as I put the camera down and I have my second hand free. I'm going to tie them to the edge there, make a note of the time, and these are going to be processed for 2 hours. I have the front door open, so there's plenty of ventilation because I have the window open as well. But if you're processing bundles in your kitchen, please be mindful of steam. You want to make sure that you're safe with everything you do for your health and for the health of other people in your house. So 2 hours at a boil, submerged in dirty pot liquid, and these will be ready to open and reveal the prints. I'm off now to make more bundles and get them in the pot too. Once the last bundle was in the pot, I threw in some dry onion skins and old eucalyptus leaves into the mixture. When I go to take the bundles out of the pot, I'm careful. I know which way I put them in. I had made a record of which bundle went in first, and it was this one here. And you need to be careful when you have rusty metal not to let anything get onto timber. So what I'm doing is I'm putting that one in another saucepan on the cooker so that I don't get any splashes onto my timber there. So I'm going to just quickly take the other bundles that are ready out of the pot, get the lid back on and bring it back up to a boil. Then it's time to reveal. Now for the fun part, opening the bundle of paper to reveal the prints. It's always really exciting opening bundles. see what we have in this one. Ooh. So two different sides of the same sort of leaf. That's actually a geranium. I can see here that this is where the underneath of the leaf made contact with the fabric, and that's where the upper portion did. They're beautiful. A lot of the herbaceous geraniums give really good prints. And you need to take your time when you are removing vegetation from paper, because it's very easy to actually damage the paper and to tear it. So take your time, try and get all the vegetation off as you go along, or most of it. A rinse under the tap will then take additional little pieces off. So I'm just working back and forwards. Ooh, the root of that little herbaceous geranium is beautiful. And I used this metal plate. This plate was part of one of my old coffee machines that broke years and years and years ago, studio coffee machine. So I used that plate, and can you see how there are some beautiful details there where the liquid has been able to penetrate further through the holes in the metal. More of the herbaceous geraniums. Actually, it's the upper portion, I think, that's giving more of the yellow. And then Cotinus prints. So this needs a wash now to remove all this loose vegetation. And then it needs to be dried flat. I used rainwater to rinse off all the loose vegetation from my paper, but you could use your tap water either. Apologies for this shaky section. I was trying to hold my camera phone and wash at the same time. I dabbed off all the excess water with a towel, left the paper to dry somewhat, and then gave it a good iron on both sides. I was really happy with how everything turned out. These are quite dark because of my dirty pot liquid and the quantity of rusty metal I had in the liquid prior to eco-printing these. If you wanted brighter prints, I suggest just water and vinegar in your pot and throw in some onion skins. That will give a more orange background colour. But for me, I love the intensity of prints when there has been iron involved. I like the moody look, and these give me pleasure. If you've enjoyed what you've seen and you'd like more tips and tutorials from my studio at Clasheen, please subscribe to the channel, and why not check out some of my other online videos. Until next time, over and out from rural Ireland.